Yo, what's good everyone? Today I'm going to be taking a first look here at this Week 14 NFL DraftKings main slate. Let's dive right into it. And like I always do here in these videos, I'm going to go position by position, highlighting the plays that are sticking out to me here early in the week, and then we'll wrap up this video by putting together a first look cash lineup and a first look tournament lineup. With that being said, let's dive right into the quarterbacks here. I do like Josh Allen at the top, going into LA against the Rams. I think he's a cash game play more than a tournament play, as crazy as that might sound at $8,000. Been super consistent here as of late, but hasn't really shown that 30 plus DraftKings point upside. Dating back to week 3 was the last time that he did that. So not to say that he couldn't do that in this matchup, he absolutely could, and I still do like him on the tournament side of things. I just think he's a little more cash game viable. Jalen Hurts in this matchup against Carolina, definitely in play. I can't say I love it though, because I love Saquon Barkley in that matchup. But if you wanted to stack up the Eagles side in general, they could put up a bunch of points against that defense. I do like Baker here in this matchup at home against Las Vegas. He did get banged up on Sunday, but it sounds like he's going to be okay for Week 14. More of a tournament play for sure at that price, but Mike Evans back, K-Dot, and easy stacking pieces there. And then I really like Sam Darnold as well for the Minnesota Vikings. I think we could stack him up with Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, TJ Hawkinson, a number of different routes that we could go. But overall, just like this matchup at home for Minnesota in general against Atlanta, and we do got Kirk Cousins coming back into town, so it should be a fun game narrative in general. And then one quarterback that I wanted to highlight here in the 5K range, and you're going to have to bear with me on this one, it's Will Levis of the Tennessee Titans. Now, I love the matchup here against Jacksonville at home. This is a defense that we've been picking on all year long, and at $5,000, if I'm putting them in my cash lineup, I'm shooting for 3x value. That's 15 DraftKings points, and you can see Levis there in his last 4 games, 19, 16, 18, and 16, showing some decent rushing upside, but overall just playing better football. So at that price, I think he's going to be cash game viable. Now moving on to the running backs here, right at the top we got Saquon Barkley. Name dropped him when talking about the quarterbacks already. This is a smash matchup against the Carolina Panthers, the worst rushing defense in the NFL, and Saquon has truly been elite this year. If we just go look at his game log here as of late, look at these numbers. 36.9, 8.8, that's an outlier. 36.8, 49.2, and 22.7 DraftKings points. I'm pretty much at the point here going, I know it's Tuesday, but how do we not play this guy against Carolina? Whether that be in your cash lineup or your tournament lineup, this guy needs to be in play. Scrolling down a little bit off of that, look, Achane, Kamara, they look fine. Bijan going up against Minnesota, I don't necessarily love that. Kyron's really slipped here in the passing game as of late, so that's a little bit of a concern. So the next guy that's sticking out to me here is Bucky Irving of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Really got that workhorse load last week. 25 rushing attempts, 3 targets, 28 total opportunities. That's a bell cow running back. Now, he got banged up in that game towards the end, but it sounds like he's going to be okay, and I do like that matchup there against Las Vegas. I think Tony Pollard's an interesting play here going up against Jacksonville. Definitely more on the tournament GPP side of things, but at $6,400, I think he will be fine. And then the last running back that I wanted to highlight here is Isaac Guerendo. Both Christian McCaffrey and Jordan Mason got banged up in that game against Buffalo on Sunday night, so Guerendo here should be the lead back going forward. Now, before we dive into the wide receivers, everyone, let me grab your attention for just a quick second here. I want to let you know that I do run a YouTube golf channel as well with some of my best friends. If you're a golf fan, I would really appreciate you checking this out. It's called Mulligan Masters Golf. Our next goal is 1,000 subs. You can see we're at 621 right now. It's more on the entertainment side of things. If you want to check it out, there's a link to do so in the description below, as well as in the pinned comment below. Next, we got the wide receivers here, elite options at the top. I'm kind of looking at Malik Neighbors and above there as kind of the tier 1 plays, and really it's probably more so Mike Evans and above as the tier 1 plays, and I just feel gross leaving out Tyreek Hill, but he just hasn't been that explosive Tyreek Hill that we're accustomed to seeing. Watch him go off for 30 plus DraftKings points this week, but the ones that are sticking out to me there are Justin Jefferson and Puka Nacua. Again, when we talk about the elite options here, we know the upside that they bring. I mentioned Malik Neighbors here as well. Obviously, the quarterback situation super gross for the New York Giants right now, but double-digit targets here in 4 of his last 5 games. The one game where he didn't get there, he still had 9. That's elite usage, and that's what I'm looking for in my cash lineups, and no reason to think we can't go there in tournaments either. I think Drake London's going to be cash game viable here, 16 targets last week, and he has been a bit of a roller coaster in terms of usage this year, 6, 2, 13, 7, and 16 targets over his last 5 games, but overall, if this is a matchup that Atlanta expects to win, they're going to need to beat Minnesota through the air. So Drake London at $6,400, I do like that. Now, I'm not entirely sure if Devontae Smith is going to be back for the Eagles this week, but $5,800, this is the cheapest he's been all year long, getting a $1,000 discount from his last game and a $2,000 discount from 2 games ago. So again, he's a bit banged up right now, but keep an eye on that. If he does play, $5,800 is cash game viable for sure. Jacoby Myers been really good here no matter the quarterback. Again, it's more of a volume thing, 7, 11, 6, 15, and 11 targets here in his last 5 games. We really like to see that for a guy priced in the mid 5K range. We got the Ridley revenge game here going up against Jacksonville. We could do a little stack there with Will Levis too. And then getting into some of the value, and really one guy that stuck out to me was David Moore here at Carolina. He's not a great wide receiver by any means, but $4,000, very affordable there. In a game they're probably trailing the entire time against Philadelphia, and he's now got 19 targets in his last 2 games. Next, we got the tight ends here, and honestly, everyone, I'm looking at Jonnu Smith and above with Kittle, McBride, and Bowers and going, yeah, every one of those guys are in play this week, especially on the tournament side of things. And Bowers, I believe, could be cash game viable, but I think I lean towards McBride here just a little bit more. You could see there 27 targets in his last 2 games. Just 2 weeks ago, he had 15 targets against the Seattle team. They're back at home here this week in Arizona, so I honestly think he's cash game viable. Let's get into the 4K range here, though. Pretty much same 2 guys that I highlighted last week in Cade Otton and TJ Hawkinson. Look, those guys should be priced closer to $5,000. Maybe they're not performing week in and week out, but boy, they have the upside to really break a tournament or kind of take down a GPP, especially at those prices there. So we'll build a little Minnesota stack here at the end for tournaments, and I'll mix in TJ Hawkinson. Pat Freiermuth is an interesting play here. He's got 11 targets here in his last 2 games. Played really well last week. $3,800, that's really what kind of stuck out to me, but I don't mind the matchup against Cleveland either. It sounds like Dallas Goedert is going to be week to week, so I think Calcaterra is going to be in play. Ugh, targets just gross. But if we go back to when Goddard was missing, you can see here 2, 4, 1, 3, and 5 targets during that stretch. I guess I don't necessarily love it, but that's why we're in the 3K range. And being that Taysom Hill is going to be out on the IR, maybe we can go to Jawan Johnson here at $3,400, but just like last week, I really don't love the 3K range and really do like the 4K range. And then wrapping up the positional plays here with the defenses in the 3K range, if you can spend up this week, I like the Steelers and the Vikings. I actually think the Cardinals are kind of a sneaky play here at $3,000 against Seattle at home. They've played significantly better here in their last 4 games, and the statistics do back that up. If we're dipping into the 2K range here, I think the Titans are fine at home, going up against Jacksonville, especially if Mac Jones starts over Trevor Lawrence. I actually don't mind the other side of that game with Jacksonville there. I know that defense is bad, but Will Levis is still prone to turn the ball over and take sacks, even though I did highlight him earlier. And then maybe the Browns if we need to punt at $2,400. I guess I don't mind that, but I don't necessarily love it either. But that's why they're priced there at $2,400. All right, everyone, now let's put together a first look cash lineup here. And actually, everyone, if you could like this video and subscribe to the channel before we do this, I would truly appreciate that. Every like, comment, and sub that you guys leave truly does help me out, and it's completely free to do. Let's kick it off here at the quarterback position. And yes, I'm going to save some money and go with Will Levis for our first look. He's been solid here as of late, and I love this matchup at home against Jacksonville. Let's save some money here with running backs. Let's go with Garendo at $5,400 and put in Bucky Irving as well. And you know what? Let's put in Saquon here in the flex spot for starters. I know it's expensive, but truly a smash spot against Carolina. I want to try and put in Drake London at $6,400 and even put in Jacoby Myers at $56. And honestly, everyone, I want to spend up here for Trey McBride here for the first look. All right, 29.50 left over. Not great. Let's put in a defense that's cheap. That's the Browns at 24. That gives me 3,500 left over for a wide receiver, and I didn't highlight the 3K range. I took a look at it. Nothing really stuck out to me. I'm hoping some value pops up later in the week at this position, or really any position, to where we can do something like this. But let's do a little pivot here. Let's get off of Saquon here initially. I know it's a great spot against Carolina, but that should allow us to pivot off a couple of spots. So let's put in David Moore there for beginners. I know he's really cheap at $4,000. And okay, so we should be able to spend up here for someone. Let's go Puka. And 3,200 for a defense. I actually don't mind that, because then we can get to the Cardinals. So I'd love to put Saquon in there. I'll probably try and find a way to do that as the week progresses. I'll talk about him in my final cash plays video on Friday, and make sure you check that out. But for our first look cash lineup here, I don't mind this. And then you guys know the deal here. My favorite part of the video, putting together a first look tournament lineup. I just find these fun and exciting. I don't know, maybe I need to get a life, but let's kick it off here at the quarterback position. I said I'd do a little Minnesota stack, so let's go with Sam Darnold. And let's go with JJ here and TJ Hawkinson. He's so cheap at $4,300. I can't believe it, to be honest with you. Let's run it back there with a Drake London. Actually, London's probably going to be super popular this week if I had to guess. So let's pivot off of him to a Darnell Mooney. He's had some big games this year. All right, so that leaves us with $5,260 left over per player. You know what? I'm going to go with two of the cash game running backs that we already highlighted with Garendo and Bucky Irving. They're too cheap in my opinion, considering the upside they offer. I know Garendo, we got some question marks there, but it's the Kyle Shanahan offense. All those running backs do succeed. And then you know what? I think we should be able to spend up with two decent kind of boom bust wide receivers. So that should be in the 5K range here. Let's go with Calvin Ridley with the revenge narrative. And I didn't talk about him initially, but I do believe that Amari Cooper is going to have one of those 4-5x games sooner than later. I mean, that's really 20-25 DraftKings points. Would anybody be shocked if Amari Cooper had 25 DraftKings points this week? I sure as hell wouldn't. 3,500 left for a defense. That allows me to put in the Steelers for a first look tournament lineup. I actually really like that. Alright everyone, that is going to wrap up this video here for today. As always, thank y'all for taking the time out of your day to watch the content here on this channel. If you could like this video and subscribe to the channel, I would greatly appreciate that.